We made it, folks. Bit of a mad rush, but we just got here in the nick of time. Welcome to the show. It is now 15 minutes past 10. John here with you through until midnight tonight. And for the first part of the show, we have Mark Gillespie with us, who you just heard those two tracks from. We had Only Human, title track of the first album, and then Don't Wait from the Flame Set. And how you doing, Mark?
All right. Actually got here.
Yeah, we just got here. Had to pick up some borrowed equipment along the way. And we do thank Peter Cummins for that. The borrowed guitar.
There it is.
There it is. How do you feel listening back to some of your old work, like the Only Human album? Are you very self-critical in hindsight, looking back at your work? You know, think picking things to pieces and wish you had done them differently?
Really. I especially that one. Musically and all that. I think that's a lot of things you might do at some stage. You feel that, but then, like before you get to the record stage, but then that was a particularly happy time and happy recording, and for the first time working with those musicians. So that was there was an extra little bit there, and that was my first record, which is always the one where it all sort of goes into kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It happens or it doesn't happen with the first record, and that was fortuitous. A lot of good things happened. And the recording up at Music Farm up at near Byron Bay. And that was, I think, one of the first records I went through. So that was nice too. But I don't really listen a lot. I don't even have copies, in fact, and I don't have anything to play them on, so I don't ever get to hear. So it's nice to hear that every now and again. Because most of the time working with fantastic musicians, so it's nice always to hear what they're up to. Like Hannaford on guitar there, playing that solo on Only Human. Very nice. And, things like that you don't get sick of.
Mm. You're in town this week as part of, the third week down at the Espy, isn't it?
Yeah, we're doing Wednesday nights at the Espy in the Gershwin room. We've done two. We're doing another one tomorrow night, and we've got another one next week, but the one tomorrow night's a little bit earlier than usual. We're starting there at 9 o'clock, so it's kind of early. A lot of the time it seems really late, so a lot of people who are getting a little older don't tend to go, but right. My bass player is actually, the bass player I'm using is also playing with Men at Work, and they're doing a later show at the next door, so he has to rush in.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I was wondering how that was going to affect your set.
Well, I have to go early. I told him, make sure I get the best. At least I get it first. I don't know how to get the best.
And your band's called The Kings of Nothing.
It is.
Who does that contain?
Mr. Peter Lucky Luscombe and Steve Hadley and me, just the three people.
So as a trio, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
That's kind of a nice way to work, I found.
You're talking about Ross Hannaford and some of the other musicians that have sort of reappeared on your albums over the years. There seems to be a core of them that have bobbed up on most of your records.
Well, more than that, it's really basically the same people, except here and there where they weren't available. But sort of the last album was the same people as, the core of Joe Crichton on bass and Hannaford on guitar, and a few extras that come across. But it has been, I've always, even recording in between time, there was one time where I couldn't get Hannaford, when I couldn't get Crichton was overseas, second album. But I've always played live with basically the same guys. Right,
so it's just a matter of just being comfortable with those people, or have you tried other combinations that haven't quite worked, or?
No, I figure when you're with the best,
on a good thing, stick to it.
Yeah.
Fair enough too. We'll take a track from Flame. We'll take Battle Stations, and we'll get you tuning up there on the old borrowed guitar, and we'll take the first live one in a tick.
Okay.
So Mark Gillespie's our guest tonight, and he's all tuned and ready to go.
Wow, fairly well in tune.
What's it going to be first?
Well, I thought I would do one that I played first last week. It's called Half a Chance. It gives me a chance to do a little bit of picking and see if I can get the slide onto this guitar somehow. Shall I begin?
Away you go.
Okay. I just want a chance to make some music. Don't you wanna dance chance of maybe totally losing. Needs romance, sentimental journey. I'm jumping out of my pants, oh, this old dog's still learning. Won't you give me a chance? I wanna play some music. Just wanna dance, I don't wanna confuse it. Put the man in romance, have a nice little learner. But when it hits the fan, we'll fancy that we're back on the back burner. I just wanna change. I just wanna change. Want a chance, God is all I can do. I'm in a happy trance, can't stop tapping my shoes. Straight from Paris, France, New York no longer new. Everybody just dancing, not just a chosen few. I just wanna change. Everybody holding hands and feeling good through and through. No talk of making plans unless there's things to do. Just wanna sing and dance, I need to feel music. And what about you? I just wanna change. I just wanna change. Or something like that.
Not bad at all. And a guitar passed the test too, I think. What makes up the live set these days? Is it basically new material?
Yeah, it's all new stuff because I'm trying to get to a stage where I can record. So I'm basically getting these guys to record without knowing that they're recording, rehearsing for some recording, and we're actually going to tape tomorrow night. And if I can get a good live tape, because at the back of the Esplanade now there's 24-track digital happening, so you can tape direct from stage, and quite a few people are doing that. And so it's an easy way to do it, and especially with a three-piece, it's kind of, you can get a good mix fairly simply.
So there could be a live album in the works.
Well, if I don't make too many mistakes, I'll fall off my seat or something. Yeah.
Gillespie at the Espy, perhaps.
Well, that's what I wanted, Mr. Gillespie at the Espy. I've always wanted this. The last rough time I did that, I demanded that the rough dub got called that.
Would it be a fair comment to say that you're not really one that's big on self-promotion?
You could say that.
Because I must admit, I had a hell of a time going through old magazines trying to find interviews with you or anything leading up to tonight.
Yeah, the record companies would agree with that, but I figure that you shouldn't have to do that much. I mean, you make the record. That was always my kind of thing, that, what I do is getting the stuff down on record or on a CD and stuff, and the record company's job is to sell it, and that's, otherwise what the hell are they doing? The musician's got to sell it as well, and what is the record company's role? But they never saw it that way. But, I've the only thing I really haven't done is sort of toured a lot, constantly, but I've sort of done everything else.
To what extent do you think that's probably worked against you?
It's hard to know. It's like, toss 10 balls up in the air and catch one kind of thing, You never know what you might do, to get, the illusory success or whatever. Haven't made a lot of money, but, I've played some nice gigs, so I don't know what the criteria are for. But then again, you play a lot, then you don't like it so much, there's no point playing if you're not enjoying playing, if you're doing terrible gigs or something like that. I've done some good things, like did a lot of tour supports with some good people like Tom Waits and, Joe Cocker, and gone all around Australia doing that kind of thing where you're playing in good situations, but, most of the time you're just there to get people to drink, So, there's another kind of slant on the music there, that it has to be something that's conducive to drinking, basically. And if you don't play that music or whatever, there are a whole lot of different things, but what I've done is what I've done, I guess.
Yeah, that's basically been your attitude since day one, album one, more or less.
Yeah. Well, it's my idea for a promotion for the first album was to take a trip to India. That was my big record promotion in Australia, but it didn't seem to go down well with the record company. But that kind of thing, you just think, well, you go through all the agony, or not agony, but all the ecstasy and blah blah of making a record, and then you've done it. And I've done my bit of it, kind of thing, and even down to the last record, I do the artwork and everything, down to designing the CD and all that kind of thing, and I figure I've done what I need to do and play a few gigs where you can get gigs. I mean, it's not that easy to play anyway. People go around losing money. I can't afford to play losing money, so I play where I can and see what happens. And little thing echoes in the void. One day it will be heard, 3,000 light years onwards.
Would there be any one thing that you would have done differently if you had time over again?
Nothing comes to mind, really. No. Been a few. I haven't really had fantastic relationships with any of the record companies, and I think that's got a lot to do with it. No matter what you do, if the record company, doesn't think that you're, that boy's got a bad attitude or something like that, they misinterpret something, right? They totally see it through their eyes. So when somebody else does something, they interpret it that way. I might have a different reason for one thing, and they think, oh, he's difficult, kind of thing, Well, not really, but they're all the same,
Yeah. Well, we'll generate a few more memories here for you. We'll take Pile Up from the Sweet Nothing album, and while you get ready for your next live one.
Oh, all right.
Mark Gillespie tonight on Retrospectives. It's 24 minutes to 11 o'clock, and we'll take another live one, I think, from Mark.
Oh, yeah? Okay, this one's In the Maelstrom. Just about seen the bottom of the barrel. I thought I'd gone where you can go. But now I'm somewhere so bad I don't know if I can get on. I've been cruel and vicious, blow after vicious blow. I'm in the maelstrom, right on the edge of the abyss. Got a little headstrong. Right on the head, Lord, hit and miss. I can't go out, I can't show my face no more. There's some things I wish I didn't know. I'm in the maelstrom, right on the edge of the abyss. Got a little headstrong on the razor's edge. No, I just born you can kid. I can't scratch myself, I can't walk along the street. I need to catch my breath, I'm too afraid of who I'll meet. Well, I'm no match, hell, I'm squirming in my seat. Down the hatch, the early bird is sprouting feet. Oh, look out, I'm in the maelstrom, right on the edge of the abyss. I got a little headstrong, right on the edge. Is it agony or bliss? Thought I just about seen the bottom of the barrel. Thought I'd gone as low as you can go. But now I'm somewhere so bad I don't know if I'll ever get out of the cruel and vicious blow after vicious blow. I'm in the maelstrom, right on the edge of the abyss. I got a little headstrong on the razor's edge. Lord, I'm in the maelstrom, right on the edge of the abyss. I got a little headstrong. Is it agony or is it bliss? The big question.
Very nice indeed. That's in the live set?
Yeah.
People can catch that down at the ESP tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I felt that the Flame album didn't get anywhere near the radio support that it should have. Did you expect more?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I was like I hadn't done anything for a long time. I'd gone through a lot of things. I come back and did all this thing, and you go find all these wonderful musicians do all these songs, and you think, hey, this is fantastic. You know, I'm really happy with this. This is the best thing I've done. And you put it out. And zilch, you know, nobody plays it. I thought there were some really good songs that would have been good on the radio. You know, I don't know what you need to do.
It just sort of kind of came and went, didn't it?
It did indeed. I don't know. I don't know what else. Again, what else I could have done there. I mean, the record company didn't really promote it, but even if they promoted it, maybe people wouldn't have bought it. I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those things, you know.
Is it difficult? Obviously, it would be, I guess, for someone like yourself that's been around for a while to attract a newer, younger audience.
No, but difficult is difficult if you don't play. Nobody can see that. It's quite difficult. But if you do, I found recently quite a few young, kids didn't know me at all, kind of thing, and just kind of liked the way I play guitar or something like that. Come say, hey man, and kind of like the stuff. You know, I don't see that there's any particular. I've always thought, you know, when people actually describe my stuff as being, you know, they always give the impression that you're playing some kind of J.J. Cale stuff. I think my stuff's nowhere near. I think it's quite kind of pounding away music, some of it. If people care to listen, I can't see, you know, some tracks or some of the records. But I figure it's that I like sort of different kinds of songs, so the record's not full of the same sort of song kind of thing. So maybe, you know, people like to hear one kind of music or one kind of sound on a record. I don't know. I try and wonder why you know, like last week I appeared in my Failure T-shirt, you know, the SV. I make my own I actually got it in reverse, so you can see it failure in reverse. So you look in the mirror, it says failure, and on the back it said, "I made it myself." It's quite smart, but they're very hard to get rid of. I tried to give one to Joe Camilleri last week. I saw him, but he wouldn't be in it. But no, I don't know. Oh, well, somebody has to be unpopular. I mean, for all the popular guys, I mean, not everybody can be a popular musician. But maybe I'll get a rose on my grave or something.
Well, I wouldn't say unpopular. I'd say criminally ignored is probably a better description. We'll take a track from that criminally ignored Flame album. Gillespie, it's still around too, so why not pick up a copy and give it another life, perhaps? We were talking in the car on the way over. You spent some time in Bangladesh.
Yeah, that's a little while ago now. I was over there for about 4 years, from end of 86 onwards, I think.
Mm-hmm. You're doing a bit of work over there.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to stumble into this thing whereby I could help. There was an orphanage over there, so I was doing all sorts of different things in that 4 years, working for this orphanage as a volunteer. So that was very exciting, to say the least. And kind of very different to here. Very extreme.
Mike Rudd and Bill Putt are friends of this show. They've been down a couple of times, and you did the artwork for their last album.
That's a long story.
Yeah, how did that come about?
How did it come about? Somehow I bumped into Bill, and I did. Because their record had a bit of a history too. It had a few bumps, and maybe about a year ago or something, I did a drawing for them, just uninvited and all that, and gave it to them because I thought it was good. Oh my God, that's the meltdown! That's the meltdown. The China syndrome. It's 10 years Chernobyl today. So that. It turned out that they used that, I thought black and white, but then he did all this sort of colour business, turned out quite good, but that was quite nice, a bit of a surprise. I didn't think they were going to use it in the end, but being the eccentrics that they are...
they were quite pleased with it, I can tell you.
Yeah, no, it's good.
You dabble a bit in art, do you? Because I know you've done some of your own as well.
Well, I'm actually an architect and all that, so I've done all that for all the 6 years at uni, and I like doing that kind of thing. Drawing and painting, and I just happened to buy a new calligraphy set, so it was my Japanese version. I like the fat pens. I was going to learn to write Sanskrit, but I can't. I've got my short-term memory shot, so I can't remember anything, so I've given up on that and just stick to the drawing. But I like that kind of thing, although I tend not to do that so much, but every now and again I get the paints out and dabble.
Have a dabble, yeah. Musically, what about production? Is that a field that you're interested in developing?
For others?
Well, for yourself or for others? You've done some of your own, haven't you?
Yeah, basically done it sort of despite other producers all the way along, and the last couple of records I've done myself. But for other people, yeah, you get some ideas if you're enthusiastic, but I just kind of hear that it has to be like this. It's not a matter of, I'll do this, will I do that, it just has to be that way. That's how you hear it kind of thing, and you just go from A to B doing that. It's sort of like a spontaneous thing with me. It's not like a calculated thing, so I do that and do the one, normally work in, one take, and then do the next thing, and it feels good. I stop, it's not... and then it's kind of like in an architectural sense of putting things together. You put the foundations down first with the rhythm section, all that, and then you just do a few twiddly bits, and that's it. And some songs, some things are more precise. Like there was some kind of precise production on this last album, I thought, in terms of musical ideas. And I can just get more and more complicated, but normally knowing when to stop is the best part of production. But I don't, I've never really been able to have someone come and say, you should, this is how I have a great, I want to change you over kind of thing, like Daniel Lanois with the new, whatever, that kind of thing, where totally, and Emmylou Harris, is it, or something like that? Anyway, I mean, everyone says it's a great record, but it might be interesting. But I kind of hear a certain way that it should be done, and most of the time I've got the musical idea for that, so I'll suggest something to a bass player or something like this. And more than that, I don't know what all this production is about. I think it's just, a guy's ears, and working with a good engineer, normally they're able to respond to what, like for the Flame song, I said I want it to sound like a blind crawling worm, so the engineer will get you to have a blind crawling worm sound, kind of, for a flanging effect, if you talk like that. But
do you think production might be an overrated job?
Kind of. Yeah. It's just what you do. Yeah. I mean, obviously there are some guys like that, but Lanoir, but I don't know. But for a particular musician, I think so. I think it's just a matter of musicians getting it down right and cleanly, and not no mistakes, and in tune, hopefully, which I haven't been tonight. But I don't think there's any fantastic. You just sort of naturally, spontaneously have a goofy idea, like in that one of the songs you played. I could hear a jaw harp. So I got Joe to play a jaw harp in Battle Stations, kind of thing. It's not hey, I've had a dream, or somebody. Normally it's somebody else has done this, so you do that. You just kind of hear a sound and normally go for whatever comes up first, and that's normally pretty right. Don't try too much, because you lose the feel. The main thing is to get the feel of the music for me, and normally that's first, second take. Beyond that, give it a break. Especially, and the other musicians work like that too, Hannaford and Crichton. Don't get it too tired and go for the performance kind of thing. It's more like, that was what was good, I think, about my first record, Only Human, that captured good performances for the songs from the musicians. And that's what kind of lasts. I mean, that's what jazz is all about, for instance, good performance of it's not, Charlie Parker, I've written this down, Charlie, play this. It's a guy blowing his heart out kind of thing, and that's captured somehow. So production, not to get in the way of that. Like most of the stuff you see, is some guy who's got guitar parts, dual bits. Oh yeah, but it's so cold and dead that it just sounds terrible. Whereas the real trick, I think, is to get the even if it's around a kitchen table or something, whatever, to get the heart of the music. If there's any heart there at all. If there's no heart, it's going to be a turkey anyway. You might as well make it sound pretty. But there's something happening there to let it come out naturally, and hence the rise of world music, whereby people are doing that naturally. And suddenly discover that this doesn't matter what it's called, what sort of instrument or something, but you've got some guy who's a master at that. It's kind of nice to listen to. It doesn't matter, you can't understand the words. You've got some Kulthum or some Lebanese singer, or Ferouz or someone like that. It's beautiful to listen to. And it's, no wonder they're huge in their own countries. But, the sort of, that's what I'm talking about, like the popularity thing, the pop popularity, it sort of recedes into nothingness when you consider, the music outside his country and out in other countries. It's just got to do with musicians, and some play for their village and some play for the world, and one's not necessarily better than the other. I was listening to Ray Pereira was talking in the ABC program tonight. He went over to Africa to study drumming. He was some guy rolls up in a little village to study the master drummer and all this, and he's the small bananas there in that situation, kind of thing. It's interesting. He can learn something, and then he can play other rhythms, and it's this language kind of thing that you realise after you get to be over 40.
Yeah, well, we're nearly there. We'll go back. You mentioned the Only Human album before, so we'll go back and take a track from that and get you ready for another live one.
All right.
Okay. Going back 16 long years. First Mark Gillespie song I ever heard, actually. I remember that very well. Suicide Sister. You were telling me a little bit about the lady involved in that song. Or don't you want to elaborate on
not
that?
To be repeated. No, I just said that she was now a famous New York poet, and that she'd achieve sanity by marrying her psychiatrist. And my sister still thinks it's her. So there was another somebody, Gillespie. I remember when we were doing a film clip or somebody was going to do an interview, and their sister, it might have even been that Ian Gillespie guy, but his sister or something killed herself. So it was all very strange, bizarre synchronicities. So that was cancelled. One of those things, you know. Yes, you can be lucky.
How about we have a listen to another new one?
All right, this is an equally maudlin one. This is called Lonesome Cowboy. I don't know if you can hear the... I am a lonesome cowboy, trailer riders on my own. Lonesome cowboy, I ain't got a home. I'll do anything for love or joy, I'll do anything I'm shown. Lonesome cowboy, I'll go anywhere I'm blown. Falling on barren ground, all those seeds I've sown. Love is just an empty sound. It seems like nothing's ever grown. Touches of joy, that's all I know. Not a friend to call my own. I never felt so quite alone. The bird of love has flown. I am a lonesome cowboy, trailer riders on my own. Lonesome cowboy, I ain't got a home. I'll do anything for love or joy, almost anything I'm sure. Lonesome cowboy, I'll go anywhere I'm blown. Like getting blood from a stone, tired flesh, skin and bone. Wondering if I will or won't. Only the pain has ever grown. All those friends I've known, never found a one and only. The only things I ever own are these saddlebags and this old pony. I am a lonesome cowboy, trailer riders all my own. Lonesome cowboy, I ain't got a home. I'll do anything for love or joy, almost anything I'm sure. Lonesome cowboy, I'll go anywhere I'm blown. Lonesome cowboy, I ain't got a home. Lonesome cowboy, I'll go anywhere I'm blown. Make you weep, it would.
Lovely. I'm interested in the songwriting process. How do you tend to go about? I see your notes there in front of you. You carry them around in your head for a while before you put them down, or do you just sit yourself down and...
Varies a fair bit, I guess. Sometimes they just all come running out. Sometimes all one hit. One recently has been driving me crazy. I keep thinking of new verses. I got 6 pages already. Enough. I keep thinking of another verse. It's called I got a problem. I got problems. I keep thinking of a new problem. Kind of funny song. But some... I don't know, again, this is sort of like the business of playing music, getting an idea. You just sort of spontaneously go with it and allow it to happen, and it all just kind of comes. You know, all those old cliches, you know, you don't write it, you just get out of the way, and it's a bit like that. I mean, I don't consciously write words. There's a little bit of organisation, I guess. But a musical idea will come, and sometimes you'll play something, and a little bit down the track you'll get another idea from something that's come along. But basically they come from little gifts out of the subconscious or wherever.
Any desire to collaborate perhaps with other writers, or
I don't seem to be able to do that because that implies that there's this, that you're working on something.
Yeah.
I don't seem to write like that. Had a few people, Renee Gay, said, "Hey man, let's write some songs." So I think I'll let Paul Kelly make all the money, and I just don't seem to be able to do that. It's not sort of my. That's why I tell my wife, "Hey," she asked me that the other day, and I say, "Hey, it's not me. Hey, that's just again the musicians is it's a kind of an esoteric kind of thing in a way, because it's it's an invisible form of expression. It's not you can write it down little dots kind of thing, but you can't really capture it. And if you're a musician, sometimes you just get songs coming all the time and pop them down. There is, I guess, there's an element of craft to it, but not, you sort of, after a while, you just leave yourself open as much as possible, and then, don't limit any possibility, don't have any ideas, or like, hey, I'd like to write a song for line dancing. Hey, I don't really come at it like that. Something that's going to be good for line dancing. You sort of hear something, sometimes depending on an instrument, you're playing on an instrument, like it's bizarre after, I've been playing guitar for, 30 odd years or something, and you pick it up and sometimes you just play something you've never played before, you don't know where it comes from or what the hell it is, and it just sounds good, so you keep playing that, and all of a sudden you've got a song. And as you get older, you get into a sort of a John Lee Hooker groove where 2 notes is more than enough kind of thing, you get into a groove, and not in all cases. So I told Paul Gillespie tonight, only play the white notes, Paul. Only play the white notes. These jazz guys play too much. So on the piano, play all the black notes.
Leave the black ones alone.
But, and if you play another instrument, like I've just adapted my guitar, turned it into, cut down my Telecaster and put on an extra bass string, so it's a 7-string. That'll, and I use open tuning, so that gives me a whole bunch of new ideas, so that'll be a whole bunch of new songs. And if I have a bash at a piano, so I'll sit down and, you don't know why, but you're playing something that you've never played before, and that's what they call songs, so you don't know where it comes from.
Do you listen to a lot of current music?
No, I don't really. I never have. At the moment, because normally I don't listen to any music at all. And I know it's a terrible excuse to say, but because you say, you don't want anybody to influence me, I only ever used to listen to a bit of Lebanese music and a bit of Indian music and something that I couldn't understand. Most music I can follow it kind of thing. But that kind of music, the good music, I can't follow it kind of thing, so it's very fascinating for me. And also I listen to I've been fond of the masters, like the Ali Akbar Khan on Sarod, and I like the sound of the oud, Lebanese instrument. But, 15 years ago, I've sort of listened to one Lebanese tape over and over again for 15 years. I still can't understand it. But that's all I listen to in terms of, I don't listen to any new stuff. And, Indian, I kind of like, but I don't really like listening to, at the moment, because I'm sort of living in a bit of isolation, I tune into a bit of that program on the Radio National, which plays a lot of kind of interesting music, but then I'm starting to get sick of hearing that. When I was teaching, I tuned into, the current sounds a bit to hear what people were doing, but it still seemed like songs to me, so, songs with a fuzz box, big deals, that's the same thing, it's just songs, and whatever country is songs and some great playing. So I think, the basic thing is to keep playing your instrument and get better. And I mean, even on one string, the ektara, the Indian instrument with one string, you can do good stuff with that. And the old blues guys, I remember, I don't think it was B.B. King, one guy, it was B.B. King actually, he had on his porch, had just a one string on the one wire on the porch, and he played with that. I think they call it a doodle bug. When you the one string thing, you can vary the tension. I heard another guy go, "Hey man, playing the doodle bug." I mean, just a bit of wire on the porch. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to do all that, make out of tins. 10 years old and all that, get a tin and a stick and put a string over the top and make all these funny looking things. Guitars. I mean, you're either interested or not, and that's what you do for the rest of your life. And it's just sounds, man. Just what you can get it out of doesn't matter. Like where I am at the moment, I don't have power, so I've got all these devices. I've got a resonating tin of a cake tin which I slip onto the back of my acoustic guitar, of my electric guitar, so it sounds like a dobra. It's fantastic. And bass guitar screwed down to a T-chest that I play flat like a lap steel. I mean, and I like get sounds out of that and whatever's around. But, so it's mainly experimenting with yourself and finding sound yourself rather than listening to getting ideas from other people. It's always been like that, really.
So apart from listening to Lebanese tapes and being addicted to Radio National, what else takes up Mark Gillespie's day?
That's only a very recent. No, that's only a very recent. Well, it has been a little different. The last 6 months I've been living down in Venus Bay. So it's a totally different... I get up very early. I like to get up before it's light, so I beat the birds, so I get to hear them starting up. I can beat the sun, and I get the fire happening. This is used to be 4:30. I know it's now 4:30. A bit later now, but daylight saving change threw me for some reason. I had thrown the birds too. I don't know what's going on, but I get up very early. Sorry for that. And filling my day doing the things that people used to do before they got sophisticated. And I light fires and I cook and we make bread and we eat it and we make food and I garden and I play with my thing, with my instruments and get water and things like that that seem to fill in the day, and that you're tired by about 8 o'clock, and go into my little hut, which is smaller than the Anabombers or Unabombers. That's about half the size of his, and they were making out that he's got to be a freak because he lives in a shed a certain size. Mine's about a quarter that size. And I live in a forest, so it's a beautiful thing to watch all the animals and start remembering what stars look like, and it's just a very pleasant experience. So it's been for the last 6 months. And I go down to the beach and have strange experiences with 6-foot stingrays in the shallows and things like that. Almost step on tiger snakes and talk to echidna and things, and have kangaroos coming in and out of the land. So it's very pleasant, really. It's kind of busy doing simple things.
Sounds terrific. We better not talk it up too much. We'll have all these people moving down to Venus Bay and spoiling it all for you.
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything.
You coping okay with the travel to and from Melbourne for the gigs? Hasn't become too much of a drag yet?
It hasn't, because I haven't done it for that long. I've only done it 3 times, but I was saying this morning I had to walk 8 kilometres along the beach with my backpack before I get to to where the bus driver lives, and then he goes to... So it takes a while. So it takes all day, really, coming up. But it's kind of good because you focus on that gig, so you're working to do that, and you do the gigs rather than, it's just a gig, man. This kind of, you come up to play and you kind of try and make it special, and then you go away again shaking your head. What happened, man? And then you come up again for the next round, and then wonder what else can the fates throw you. See if you can disturb your equanimity. But no, it's been good.
And the next round is tomorrow night at the Esplanade Hotel.
That's right.
On stage at 9 o'clock.
In the blue corner.
In the blue corner. Get there nice and early. Anzac Eve, so there's no excuse not to go out. You've got a day off the next day. Catch Mark Gillespie and the Kings of Nothing. And there for a couple more weeks afterwards as well.
One more after tomorrow, yeah.
Terrific. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out.
My pleasure.
It's been a joy to meet up with you and hear what you've been up to and hear the new stuff as well. We're going to endeavour to get down there, if not tomorrow, definitely in the next couple of weeks.
A big crowd, nice and early, and you can, if you yell obscenities like on James Brown's first live record, you can be on tape probably. I think I won't repeat the obscenity, but he had her come back to every gig he did. He was so enamoured of the some woman shouting from the audience. He could pick up on the thing. I love that, man. I love that.
Well, we might do that. We'll have a couple of obscenities ready just in case. Okay, thanks again, Mark.
My pleasure.
We'll go out with the title track of Flame.